Hello everybody, I'm the Theatric Dyspraxic. I saw this video in my feed, so I decided to react to it, because Jonathan Winters is another comedian that I always sort of meant to get to introduce myself to, but I never actually watched his stuff. The only thing I know about this guy is that he was sort of the comedy hero to Robin Williams, who is one of my comedy heroes. Even though I'm not a comedian and I probably shouldn't even attempt something like that, but I know that Robin Williams, he was a big influence on him, so we're gonna watch this. This is him on the Johnny Carson show, on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. The video is titled "Jonathan Winters Accidentally Glued His Cat to the Floor." So just that title alone makes me, it piques my interest, so let's check it out. I'm sure this dude's kind of funny. This is probably from like the 70s or something.
Here's one of the funniest gentlemen that I have ever met. He's a good friend, and he's done something a little bit different. He's recently made an album, The Little Prince, with Richard Burton, which will be released at Christmas and on NBC. And on NBC, what is that? And on December the 5th, not on NBC.
I can't wait.
3 letters. That's brainwashed in there. I call it December NBC.
Johnny Carson was about as awkward as I am.
He will appear at the Mark Hopkins Hotel at a benefit dinner there to keep San Francisco.
Well, maybe that's good for me.
A very funny gentleman, Mr. Jonathan Winters.
I like that kind of Toyland music there. Dance of the Sugar Plum Boys or whatever it is. That's kind of cute. I don't know what that was.
You're a toy like yourself.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Got a big head.
all year round, I like to go to the window, and the toy windows and look at the little funny things in the window, the little toys, whatever they are.
What have you been doing lately? I haven't seen you.
I've been doing literally nothing.
Same.
I've been watching prices soar. And I'm now going back into my old wardrobe, wearing things with little funny narrow lapels, cutting back, and wearing shoes that are worn.
Can't see his eyes.
These rascals are shot, but I'm cutting back. Boy, I'm making a lot of cuts. No, I haven't.
Are you turning the thermostat down at all? No.
Oh yeah, we turned that off.
Completely
Turned that off. I'll tell you seriously, we had a friend of ours come out here from Ohio. She's back in Columbus, and sure, hi.
Ohio!
She came back from Columbus, and she stayed just a couple of days. She was in some kind of speech therapy. She was over in Vegas on a convention, and oh God, no end to the clapping.
That person's just happy about everything.
At any rate, she came to visit us, as she has in the past, and she said, "My gosh, it's cold in this house. It's just, can't you turn the heat up a little?" And I said, "No, there's no chance. My wife and I are quite comfortable, Dory." And she said, "Lord, I'm freezing." I said, "Oh, put on all your clothes. Put on more dresses.
Little Mackinac.
Sure. Because I said, we're not turning it up." And she looked at us. It was that funny look to say, "Can't you afford to turn it up just a little?" And I said, "We can, but we won't." And
it's not about money.
She left rather angrily.
How about your basement? That's where you do all the
basement's even colder. Yes, I paint in my basement. Naturally. And it's a nice little setup for me. It's very, very cozy. As I told you, I think I mentioned on the show before, I'm not too far from the furnace, and so I can check on that. Then what did I have happen? I had a thing happen. I was painting the other night, and some glue spilled on the floor, and I forgot momentarily. I phase out, just a little constantly, just phase out. And here was glue just all over, and my cat came down, and I noticed Kitty was quite still. So I said, "Come on, Kitty, 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 come on, Tiger." That's his name, Tiger. "Come on, Tiger, come on, Tiger." And Tiger's just like this, And I looked down at his little paws, and he was in quite hard in the glue. And I said, "Well, it's tough, I'm strong, I can get out." I said, "You just Make up your mind you're going to get out of that glue.
Motivating the cat.
I had to give him some help.
Yeah, must have been.
So, Lefty's paws, but...
No one scratch you anymore.
Got a memento in the basement there,
There's a lot of people there from the ASPCA saying, oh, that's terrible. No, I got the kitty out fine and cleaned his little paws thoroughly, gave him a thorough cleaning, and then proceeded to put on little booties on the kitty. Which is
that the only pet you have?
Little project. Yeah, well,
Kittens
we
with
have a
mittens.
cat and a dog now. We lost a couple of pets. But our dog, yes, we have a small dog who's just a cur. About 25, 35-cent dog.
Just occurred to him?
Very
That he had a
pleasant.
dog?
It has about a 35-cent bark.
Did you pick him up at the pound or just?
No, we didn't pick him up at the pound. We found him on a porch. And
Chained up?
just like this, you know. Walked up, picked the
Was he
dog
glued
up,
to the porch?
waved at the people in the house. And, the dog, they didn't seem to care.
Was it a similar
It was an
situation?
older couple. I just don't think they wanted any trouble.
Yeah. Oh man.
But no, that's about it. Just kids are doing fine. Yeah, my boy's looking for work. And, I don't know what he's going to do.
Has he decided yet?
No, he's going to be 25 in February, and he goes from one unusual job to another. But he's a good boy, and I told him, I said, hang in there, and I'm not going to give you any allowance or anything like that, just to sit around, and smoke a funny cigarette and listen to Bob Dylan. So I said...
And that kid would turn out to be part of my parents' generation.
So he's out there, and he says, well, Dad, like yourself, I'm looking for some work.
Well, your work is about as much as you want, don't you?
Well, yes, I really can't complain. I make a good living. I'm very happy. I really very proud. In fact, I don't have any outstanding bills. There are a couple that I think we've got to look into soon. Overall, I feel
Pretty well covered.
To my knowledge, there's nobody coming after me. But no, I really can't complain. I complain like the bulk of the country, about the economy and what's happening, our taxes and one thing. That's all very normal. But I really, at our age, you're 49 now.
Yes, that's true. Mm-hmm.
So am I. At our age,
Not here anymore.
Run that.
in that final glide path. Think of that lady who was out here 105. That'll be interesting to see you doing the show at that age, Johnny. You and I, huh?
Sitting here.
You 105, me. Hi. Are you still in the basement here? Oh, don't get down there anymore. Too far to go. Oh, everything now is in one room.
I'd want to
Enjoy it now. I'm 49.
I don't know what state the world's going to be in another 55 years, so I don't know. I really want to check up on that.
Kind of scary.
It's a world you'll be glad to be
Tell you what,
not a part of
come
anymore.
back. We talked briefly. Yeah, we're coming back. We thought we would just, you do a lot of improvisations on your show, and you do great characters. As you've often said, you don't tell
He was on a
jokes as much
show.
as you do people and situations and do a lot of improvisation. So briefly, we're sitting in makeup tonight and says, well, maybe we'll just try some interviews. So the kind of typical interviews, we have so many different type of people on the show, stars and directors and producers and so forth. And we'll come back and we'll just formulate a thing, and you can play a couple of guests. Okay? We'll take a short pause, and we'll be right back after this. And here's the pain reliever to help you get a good night's sleep, and you know how important that is. General Excedrin PM.
All right, and a bit of advertising, I guess. I guess when I'm 105, I'll still be doing reaction videos. Hello everybody, I'm the Theatric Dyspraxic with no pip in my step, and I want to react to another form. Yeah, that sounds like a good glimpse into my future. So, that was interesting. It wasn't quite as energetic or as lively as Robin Williams. Of course, I haven't seen Jonathan Winters in his, his prime, I guess. Unless that was his prime. I don't really know how long he did comedy. I really don't know anything about him other than Robin Williams, saw him as a big influence. But, yeah, it was just a nice little conversation between two, comedic heroes. So, that was enjoyable to watch. Didn't make me bust over laughing, but, when you're on a talk show, I don't think that's really the point. The point is to have a nice conversation, and they seem to have a good little conversation. I like Johnny Carson. He definitely was the front runner for what being for hosting a talk show really was about. And there's only one talk show host that I feel like ever sort of lived up to his standards, and I think that was Conan O'Brien, which I know some people don't like Conan, but I just love Conan. I think he's a hilarious comedian, and I think that he's very smart, and he just seems like a great guy. So I've always loved Conan, and I think that he definitely is a good successor to Johnny Carson. Craig Ferguson was also good too. Unfortunately, he doesn't host talk shows anymore, which, that's just his decision. And David Letterman is retired. But David Letterman isn't really that funny. He's just, he's just a interesting host. I mean, he's just a good host. Some people are good hosts, but they're not really that funny. Like Seth Meyers, I think, seems like a good host, but he's just not really that funny. And then there's some people like Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel who seem like they try too hard to be funny, and it just doesn't work. At least in my opinion. I know some people, they love their shows and stuff, but I'm just not. And Stephen Colbert, I was a fan of his, not so much now because all he ever does is talk about Trump. Of course, I don't know. I haven't watched any of these shows since the lockdown. Really, I don't watch much of TV in general. I mainly watch like Hulu and whatever's on YouTube. But that was just a bit of a ramble. But yeah, again, anything else you'd like for me to watch, react to? If there's anything Jonathan Winters you want me to react to, I will. But until next time, have a good night.